The Static Choir. In 2014, a USB drive was found in a locked safe at a decommissioned radio station in Ely, Nevada. The drive contained audio files labeled Tower Logs, June 1998. The station, Kelly M., had shut down after a fire, but the logs were never released publicly until a local historian leaked them online in 2020. I've listened to them, they're why I'm telling you this. The first file starts with static, sharp and jagged, recorded at 2:17 a.m. on June 3, 1998. The overnight DJ Carl Merritt is heard muttering, "It's back." His voice is tight, like he's trying not to panic. Kaylee was a small station, broadcasting country music and weather updates to a handful of desert towns. Carl, a 42-year-old veteran DJ, was alone that night, as he often was. The static wasn't unusual. Eli's remote location meant interference from distant storms or equipment glitches. But this static was different. It had a rhythm, like voices chanting just below the noise. Carl tried to switch to a pre-recorded segment, but the static drowned it out. He whispered, "They're singing my name." The second file, dated June 4th, is worse. Carl sounds exhausted, his voice cracking. He'd been getting calls all day from listeners, truckers, insomniacs, farmers who heard the static on their radios. They said it wasn't just noise, it was words, names, their names woven into the hiss. One caller, a woman named Ruth, said she heard her dead husband's voice clear as day saying, "Come to the tower." The station's broadcast tower was a mile outside town, a skeletal spire in the desert. Carl drove out there after his shift against his better judgment. He found nothing. No equipment malfunctions, no signs of tampering. But the log ends with him whispering, "It's louder out here." By the third file, June 6, Carl is barely coherent. He hadn't slept in days. The static was constant now, bleeding into every broadcast even when the station went off air. He recorded himself trying to talk to it, asking, "What do you want?" The static answered, not in words but in a swell of sound that mimicked his voice, mocking him. He said the station's equipment was acting strange, dials spinning, lights flickering even when unplugged. Listeners stopped calling. The town was quiet, too quiet, like everyone was holding their breath. Carl mentioned a smell in the studio, like ozone and something sweeter, like rotting fruit. The final file, June 8th, is just 47 seconds long. Carl's voice is a rasp. He says he went back to the tower at midnight. The static was so loud it made his ears bleed. He saw shapes in the dark, human-like but wrong, like they were made of static themselves, flickering in and out. They were circling the tower, singing. He tried to run, but his car wouldn't start. The last thing he says is, "They're here. They know I'm talking to you." Then the static surges and the file cuts off. Carl Merritt was found dead in the studio the next morning, June 9th, 1998. The coroner's report, obtained through a Freedom of Information Act request, listed cause of death as cardiac arrest, but noted unexplained burns on his hands and face, like he'd been electrocuted. The station's equipment was fried, wires melted into shapes that didn't make sense. The fire that shut Kaylee down started that same night. Origin unknown. No one reported seeing figures near the tower, but a trucker passing through Ely that week swore he saw lights flickering in the desert, moving in a circle. The USB drive is now in the Nevada State Archives, labeled as anomalous evidence. The audio files are online if you know where to look. I've heard them. The static does sound like voices, and if you listen long enough, you might hear your name. I stopped listening after that. The tower still stands outside Ely, rusted but intact. No one goes near it. The locals say if you tune a radio to 12:30 a.m. at night, you can still hear the static, and sometimes it sings.